I am a frequent contributor to the Bangor Daily News and the Portland Press Herald online comments section. I live in Westbrook with a dog who is my main partner at the moment. And then I reach in, okay. Which one of my parents am I most like? My father died when I was young. My point of reference as an adult is just my mother, but I think I would guess that I would be most like my dad. I wish I was most like my mom, but I think more like my dad. I think I share my dad's bipolar disorder, also male pattern baldness. I wish I had my mother's hair. One thing that's nice about having a parent who's dead, you don't have that fear of turning into your parents. You don't know what that is. And you can kind of just make it up. And with my mom, who's alive, she's got a lot of traits that I admire, but that I find hard to emulate. And I have to assume that that comes from my dad. I wish I was more patient like my mom. I wish I was better at puzzles. My dad was funny, charismatic guy. He was very gregarious. I more consciously have tried to emulate my mother. It doesn't seem to come as easily to me, the traits that I admire in her. Any rational person would not look up to my parents' marriage as a model for a relationship because they got divorced when I was like 5. My memory of my parents' relationship at the McDonald's in Lowell, Massachusetts, where they met up, that's really depressing. My mom and my stepdad would try to look to that as a relationship to model. But with that said, though, it's impossible not to have your parents' relationship as a model for future relationships. Seeing their divorce, the idea of just relationships in general just seemed kind of silly to me. It seemed like, oh, it's just going to end. I don't think I'd ever envisioned myself being married until probably my late 20s. I'm in my early 30s now. Maybe I don't want to be alone the rest of my life. A lot of my friends are married, and it seemed like all of a sudden they all just kind of got married. Why is it not easy for me? The easiest answer would be that all my friends have come from families where they didn't get divorced. That also seems too much blame on my parents. I guess the simple, concise way of putting it would be that I am weary of marriage because my parents got divorced. My relation with my parents versus their relation with their parents is probably, I would assume, kind of typical. There's more of a disagreement or kind of schism between the values that they had in their relationships versus their parents. My mom and my dad both came from Catholic families. Parents, they are still together and they're in their 90s. I think that maybe if they were a later generation, they would have gotten divorced a long time ago. I mean, I really don't know. So I guess the short answer to that would be that my parents are very traditional. My parents had a very modern approach to it, which ended in divorce. Where do I see the future of relationships? It could be monogamous or it could be polyamorous. But relationships is not a activity that I'm a pro at. When I hear people talk about polyamory, I think, wow, you gotta be black belt in relationships to do polyamory. You gotta communicate, then there's gonna be all these different feelings. I think that I could see an evolved world where we're capable of that. Me personally, it would be difficult. I do have this sort of conservative inkling in me of holding on to the enduring institution. I do have a semblance of respect for the institutions that have been around for a long time, like marriage and religion. I have respect for politeness, for things that the Queen of England represents. You can find me, Google Plus is done, Flickr. Check my LinkedIn. Roux on Instagram. Should I put both hands in? Oh, describe what I'm feeling. Oh, I see. Describe what I'm feeling by touching. I'm feeling lumpy, wrapped in something kind of warm, kind of moist. Ooh, ooh. Once I get into it, it's sticking them into a chimichanga. It is not what it was. It's totally mangled. All right, I'm going to guess. I think it's a balloon wrapped with a paper towel around it and filled with tapioca pudding that's been heated in the microwave for about 4 minutes. So I was right about the paper towel. Oh yeah. Oh, it's like an ankle sock for a giant. Thank you for watching Serial Monogamist.